Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome back. So this afternoon we are going to cover session 12, which is intentional planning and embedding learning opportunities. So there's a lot of content to cover this afternoon, so it'll take probably right up until 4 o'clock for us to be able to get through everything. So did everybody find session 12, the PowerPoint and handouts in the Google folder?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as always, we like to say a special thanks to all of our funders. I won't read through the list. We've seen they're the same as we've gone over previously. So our agenda for this afternoon is we'll talk about our learning objectives. We're going to talk about building blocks, that framework. We're going to talk about embedded instruction, the child classroom activity matrix, complete learning trial, teaching strategies. We're going to have an activity with embedded learning opportunities. We'll go over data collection and progress monitoring. We'll do our thought seeds, and then we'll wrap up with quality improvement for the day. So our learning objectives for session 12 are that you'll learn the steps and procedures to implement an embedded instruction. So the what, when, and how. You'll learn various methods for teaching new skills. You're going to learn about embedded instruction, how it occurs throughout daily routines and across environments. And that you'll gain some data collection tools to track progress. And so as we mentioned in session 11, you'll really get to see how those goals that you created, how the way we created those goals make it very easy to take them and then embed them in your instruction across environments. So as a reminder, here are our ground rules, or our norms that we developed this morning. Is there anything we need to add to that after our morning together? Are we good? Okay. And then the parking lot right there. And so again, as we did this morning, if there's things that you feel like we need more information on or takeaways that we want to be sure we don't lose in this process so that we can take back and implement, please write on a sticky note and post up there on the parking lot. Everybody has a copy of or has found their session handouts. Okay, and as a reminder, past the PowerPoint, just as this morning, there's all of our handouts. Okay. And everybody's found the restroom okay? Yeah, okay. So this afternoon, we're really going to be focusing on this level 2 and 3 of the pyramid. And so we'll be talking about building blocks, LEAP, and other evidence-based practices within levels 2 and 3. So this is really where our focus is going to be. How do we embed learning opportunities and really have some intentional planning to teach students the skills they need? So these three are tiers within level 2 of the pyramid. And so these are from the building blocks framework. And so really within level 2 of the pyramid, we think about that we're going to have curriculum modifications and adaptations. We're going to have embedded learning opportunities. And really we're going to have that child-focused instructional strategies. So really, how are we going to have targeted social emotional instruction in that level 2 of the pyramid? And so these are 3 tiers within that level 2. So a little bit about what is embedded instruction. Are any of you familiar with embedded instruction?
just the concept of like embedding social emotional throughout like reading time or math time or whatever it would be. So
Yeah.
it's not direct teaching, but
Yeah.
putting teaching opportunities in.
Right. And really being very intentional about your planning and when you write your goals and your objectives to really ensure that they lend themselves. So Emily was pretty much spot on. So really emphasizing times and activities when instructional procedures for teaching a child's primary learning target are implemented in ongoing and naturally occurring activities in the classroom, at home, or other settings. So really this will increase engagement, participation, and independence. It's feasible for caregivers to use the ongoing activities and transitions. So we'll talk about this, like what it looks like within the school setting, but then also how can families and caregivers also embed this at home and across a different setting. So embedded instruction is effective for teaching children new skills. It is an effective strategy for increasing engagement, participation, and independence. It promotes generalization and maintenance of newly learned skills feasible for caregivers in the ongoing activities, routines, and transitions. One thing I was thinking about with this is, you know, as we have noticed here that our model of special education at the ECE level is all inclusive, right? There's not pull-out services for any of the providers, and the reason being is they all participate in this embedded instruction, really because it's supposed to really promote that generalization of new learning and skills across settings. And so it's just something for us to think about as we start thinking about our kindergartners or even, you know, up through third grade. Like, is there really something to this embedded instruction? And when we talk about the generalization of skills back to the general classroom, well, maybe if that's where the skills are taught in the first place, there's not that gap in generalizing them back. So some research findings regarding embedded instruction is that it's effective for teaching a variety of valued skills to young children. A variety of instructional strategies have been embedded effectively, and embedded instruction seems to enhance generalization. So here is the starting of the research on effectiveness. So this first table really indicates the number of children participating in the ELO instruction. And as you can see, looking at this table, it really is a variety of disabilities that of children that it's been proven effectiveness and participated in that research. Table 2 is the number of ELO instructional objectives by domain. And so while Pyramid Plus approach focuses most, on the social emotional piece of it and goals, the study indicates that embedded instruction is really effective for goals across various domains. And so again, when we think about, like I was thinking about putting this in perspective of what I see within the school district and with all the providers providing all of their services within that classroom setting, and as we see, the research shows that embedded instruction is really effective across domains. And is that where, all of your services are provided?
Correct. There might be like a case where like you're really working on articulation or something where you're really pulling out just to get a feel for if there's the progress being made. But it has to be like it's a process to even get that approved. So it's very rarely that anybody would be pulled out of the classroom for services.
So then I think that that's hard with that. Then we think about when we have our kiddos inclusive, like our Model 1 classrooms that are really a general education setting, and when we look at going to kindergarten, and we've never tested any other setting than that setting, but we're moving to saying, oh, well, they need the center-based classroom. There's like kind of no in between, so just got me thinking about like where's that middle ground in between that ECE and kinder, and what is the model of special education in kinder first? Maybe what should it look like, or should it look different? So the results, 63 students and children participated in the study. A variety of objectives were taught, most from the cognitive domain. 87% of children made progress, and 42.86% of children achieved their objectives. So, you know, while you can see 42.86% was achieved their goals, I think the important piece here is that 87% made progress, and you know, with research, you're limited, it's time bound. So, like with more time, more students probably could have achieved their goal, but within the restriction, the time restriction of the research, only 42% did. But a lot of the majority of them made progress toward their goal, and with a little more time probably would have accomplished that. And so really just that research around highlighting, as all of Pyramid Plus approaches, that evidence-based practice and why we should be doing or using these strategies. So why should we be using embedded instruction? So it really maximizes the children's motivation by considering their interests and preferences. It provides opportunity to learn and practice skills in meaningful contexts. It promotes learning, so it promotes the acquisition and the fluency. It promotes mastery through maintenance and generalization. So it really promotes, you know, just this intentional and meaningful teaching. So the process of embedding instruction is around the what do we teach? So functional, meaningful, and measurable learning targets we want to be sure are in place when we teach. So we're going to have ongoing activities, routines, and transitions. That's when we're going to teach our goals and objectives for the children, the students. How we teach. So instructional procedures that promote engagement, learning, and mastery, and then how to monitor. So we want to really be sure that we're evaluating the children and the adult outcomes within this process. So if you look at these steps for embedding instruction, where do these three questions that we just covered in the slide before really fit in? So where does the what to teach fit in? In the planning?
It could also come out of your evaluating. Your next step.
Right, right. When to teach?
Planning too.
And maybe in the implementing? And maybe even in the evaluating? Yeah. And then the how to teach.
I was gonna say you could see it through all.
Uh-huh. So, you know, throughout this cycle, like those are the 3 questions that you always have in mind as you're planning for instruction. And it looks kind of similar to like our data inquiry cycle, right? And so we'll talk about this a little later, but really using data or that data-driven instruction is really important to this embedded instruction process. So what we teach. So really that is the planning. So the team develops functional goals and outcomes. So what we did in session 11 really was in that planning piece. So some examples of goals. These were the ones that we had from session 11. Who will read the independence goal?
I'll read it. It says Luke, 3 years, will participate in breakfast, lunch, and dinner by feeding himself independently. We will know he can do this when he uses his hands to pick up a spoon to put at least 10 bites of soft foods in his mouth at each meal for 1 week.
Okay, and then the social interaction goal.
Keenan, 9 months, will participate in meals, playtime, and routine, vacuuming,